Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology, welcoming back an incredible guest back on today's show, who's also here in the greater Atlanta area, Nathan J. Nowak of Trinity Fitness. And before Nathan rejoins us back here on today's show, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you please be so kind as to like this video, like this comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now I'm going to bring Nathan back on today just to check in, see how everything's going in his world, how he and Stephanie are doing, and just also talk to him about the Olympics. That's something else that's going on right now. So I think that's contemporary of a topic that we can always check in on. And I think he's going to also delve into mental toughness and why it's important not to quit and the whole sports psychology behind that. So I'm really fascinated into talking to him about that and just kind of picking his brain and just getting his perspective on everything that we always chat about here in health and fitness. And there's not a better gentleman I can think of than Nathan Nowak to do that for us. So he'll be on here momentarily. And before he comes on today's show, I'd like to remind you that with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Great to have you back on. And before we were recording, you and I were kind of just chatting about so much stuff to catch up with, albeit just not too long of a, in the short past that you and I were last talking with everything crazy going on. And of course, we got the Olympics, and I'd love to talk to you about that as well with your extensive training background and helping with that. So, I mean, I've got probably just a long list of questions here. I guess the first question I would ask you is, how's everyone doing? How are you? How are Stephanie? And how's business?
Everybody's good. We're healthy, good. And we've got a new puppy. He's nine weeks old right now. His name is Charlie. He's a full-bred German Shepherd.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he might have maybe, I don't know, like 2% something else, but his mom and dad were both German Shepherds, and he looks the part. But he's a cute guy right now, biting everything. I wasn't expecting us to have a dog. I was at my my UTA for my military weekend, and Steph calls me and she's like, "Hey, I got this puppy."
Wow.
I know. So I was like, all right, we'll go get him. Let's go get him.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh, German Shepherds are so cute, and they're very good dogs. And 9 weeks, that is a puppy. Wow. So Charlie.
Yeah, and he's grown already. We got him at 6 weeks, and he's grown. He's almost twice the size.
Oh my God.
He's gonna be a big boy. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen, and again, they're such great dogs. They're very well disciplined. They're very safe and friendly around family and kids and all. And so I think you guys picked a really nice one there. That's terrific. Yeah. I guess the hardest challenge is trying to figure out how to housebreak them, though, isn't it?
Yep, that's one of the hardest things. You have to keep running him out every couple hours to get him outside, acclimate him, and understand that he needs to go outside to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
we haven't had too many accidents. I mean, he is a puppy, so it's par for the course. But I'm teaching him German, so his commands will be all in German, so that no one can say anything to him, and he won't understand what they're talking about. He still knows English commands, but we're speaking more to him in German so that he knows everything. And he's doing really well. He's got 8 commands down.
Oh, nice.
He's probably got about 5 or 6 more to go.
Huh.
And he's still a puppy. So every once in a while, there's still about 20% of the time where he just like, Dad, I'm not doing this right now. I'm not going to pay attention to you. I'm going to go chase these bees or this butterfly over here. Or watch the truck go by, and he doesn't have no control over him, but he is only 9 weeks old. So Steph tells me, she's like, you need to calm down a little bit and quit being so militant on him. He's just a baby. I'm like, he needs to know better than this.
It's funny. Yeah. When we put things in perspective, when we were 9 weeks old, we probably had to be a little dependent and get a little slack at that age, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I certainly didn't know, German commands. So
that's brilliant. How smart. Yeah. What a great idea. Oh, that's tremendous. And I hope you and Stephanie are getting enough sleep, because that's one thing that I always hear about with new puppy owners is sleep deprivation, but hopefully you're doing okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. I'm usually getting about 5.5 hours of sleep a night because we're trying. You might hear them in the background every once in a while. Yeah, we try to put him in bed by 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and then I'm up at 5, and so that there are no accidents. And throughout the night, he hasn't had any trouble. So we put pee pads down, but he's gotten past the pee pads, and as soon as I get up in the morning, run him out, and he's been really good to go. But yeah, I was getting about 6.5 hours of sleep, which is still not a lot, but it's more than 5 or 5.5. So.
Wow, gosh. Well, a good thing is I'm sure he'll just get better and better as time goes. Wow, that's tremendous. And so, the other question I wanted to ask you, Nathan, like we mentioned, was the whole topic of Olympics. I'm really interested. Have you been following it? What's your take on it? And, what's your thoughts on everything going on right now with
Yeah, hold on just a second.
Oh, yeah.
The alarm is going off.
Sure.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries, you're fine. Yeah. No
well, we were when you said, hey, you want to do another interview, I was like, hey, let's talk about the Olympics, because the Olympics is going on and there's a lot to talk about.
Makes sense.
But who knew that Simone Biles would give us a bomb to talk about? She and it's very interesting because I posted a lot of stuff about it. I got a lot of hate. And I got a lot of people like, oh, I understand. I posted some stuff and without people asking exactly the context, because when you write things, people misunderstand them, because if they're not seeing your face, they're not hearing what you're talking about.
Right.
And then we have there's three modalities, and I talk about this. You got video, you got audio, and you've got the written word. And when you write, especially for me, I like to write, but I'm not the best at it. Video and audio are where that's my bread and butter. So sometimes I'll write, my mind goes faster than my hands can type and whatnot, because I peck, and I don't add everything in that I'm thinking in my head, and I'm thinking that I'm articulated enough. So I'm getting people bashing me and trolling me and all this stuff. But to go back to it, there's two things that are going on here, especially at that level. You have to understand that when you're at that level, you're not normal. You're not a normal person anymore. There's a certain point in an age in a kid where the parents show up and they're like, hey, I want to do this. The kid wants to do this. And you have to understand that your life, and one of my friends was talking about this, your life is not your life anymore. It's not going to be what you remember as your life, because it's going to be completely different. So one thing, people say, well, we can't hold them on this pedestal because they're human too. Yeah, they're human, but they're a human at a different level, and a different kind of human. Normal people are going to quit real fast. Those kind of people aren't going to quit as fast. So when you see somebody quit, you're like, I wonder what's going on. So there's two things that I talk about here. There's two big key takeaways from this. One is mental health. Yeah, sure. If you're having some issues, then when you're in, like when I was in a fighting sport, a combat sport, she's in gymnastics. It's a very dangerous sport. There are sports that are more dangerous than others. You have to have your mental dialed in. Okay. So that, it kind of goes back to the coaches and whether or not they're supporting you, and you're communicating with those coaches. Now, those coaches that they've been around have been around for years, so they have a really good relationship. And some gymnasts have a better relationship or more of a relationship with their coach than they do their parents, because they spend so much time with that coach. So I feel that I have a lot of feelings about this, a lot of different opinions about this, and they're all basically in different boxes. One, I feel that number one, if she was mentally unhealthy, okay, it didn't happen at the Olympics. It's been brewing for an amount of time.
Makes sense.
So I say, from where I'm sitting as a coach that's coached 22 national champions, I say that she never should have went to the Olympics. Because if there was something underlying, it doesn't just brew up. It doesn't just come to the surface right now. I mean, it came out in a very big way. Usually you see this behind the scenes and you don't see it at all, but you hear of it, right? It was on display for everybody to view. So if she wasn't mentally healthy, mentally on her game, then she probably should have said, hey, I'm going to give my spot to somebody else. Two, she put a lot of extra pressure on herself by calling herself the GOAT. She's already got pressure. She's already got a very difficult routine, and her routine is more difficult than most gymnasts, if not all the gymnasts out there right now. So you're putting this pressure on yourself to have these higher caliber techniques. Then you're calling yourself the GOAT. Now you have to live up to that expectation, because you can't come back off that pedestal. It's there now. So if you put all of this, me personally, I wouldn't have added all that additional pressure to myself, because you do have to perform. But then, the mental aspect of her coach knowing that something was wrong. You could see leading up to her quitting that there was something wrong. She was posting on Instagram about the pressure. She was not doing her performances. Her warm-ups were bad. I mean, I could see, and I told Steph, I was like, there's something wrong. Something's not right with her. And then sure enough, right in the middle of the actual routine, she quits. And that leads me to my, and mental health is number one. Okay. So let me not knock, I want people to understand that I believe that your mental health is number one, but a lot of people say, well, I'm not mentally healthy. No, you're just mentally weak. And there's a big difference between being not mentally healthy and being mentally weak or being soft. So you have to understand that, because a lot of people say, well, I can't take the pressure. Well, you can't take the pressure because you're not mentally tough. Okay, but if you are mentally tough and you can't take the pressure, then maybe there's something else underlying going on, because she's been going through a lot of personal issues with the sexual abuse stuff and all of that. So all of that's leading up to this, right? Plus, you've got COVID and you don't have people in the stands, and there's all these different things, all these different pressures that are leading up to that. But you have to understand these people are not normal. So to judge yourself next to them, you can't, because these people we learned to detach at an elite level. You've learned to detach your emotions and your feelings away from actually doing the job. And that goes into quitting. And quitting, when I'm very big on this, and your mental health is first, and it's her responsibility to make sure that she's mentally healthy. So, and we may never know this. Somebody had asked a question, well, is she going to regret this later? She's only going to regret it if she made the wrong decision. If she felt like she was having a bad day just because she was having a bad day and she quit, right? It wasn't really mental health, but she was just off, and she could have performed, but just not at the level that we expect her to, or that she expects herself to, then she's going to probably regret it. But if she's really, really upstairs, she's really dealing with some issues, then it was better for her to quit, right? And not get hurt. Because in gymnastics and combat sports, you can die. She could fall and hit her head. So, those kind of things we can play, armchair quarterback all the time. But those are the things that you have to think about going into that. And then when it comes to quitting, you've decided to become, you decided to be on the Olympic team. You decided you're the captain, you're the GOAT, and now you're going to lead your troops into battle, and you quit on them halfway through. And I have a problem with that, because I am not a quitter. And, people say, well, if the mental illness is there or mental health issues are there, then quitting is part of the problem. Well, yeah, they're together, they're interrelated, but they're also two separate issues. Okay. And when you decide to commit to something, when you sign a contract to something, when you tell everybody, I am going to lead these troops into battle, and I mean battle as in war, or I mean battle as in I'm going to lead this team into Olympic gold medal, and then you fall short of that, then it's kind of like, what did you do? It was all about you. You're being selfish, and you're not thinking about everybody else. And what about these other three girls, or these other, there's three on the team. What happens to them? So those are, that's my take on it. Number one, if you're not mentally right, then you need to, it's all about you. And really, at the end of the day, if Simone can live with her decision, then it has nothing to do with what I say, you say, or anybody else says on the good side or the bad side, the plus, pro Simone, bads, whatever it is. As long as she can live with her decision, then that's fine. As long as she is mentally healthy, then that's fine. But at the end of the day, if she quit just because she was having a bad day, that opens up the door to everybody else looking at her and saying, well, if an elite person can just quit, then I just don't feel like doing it today. I'm going to quit too. And that opens up a whole door for a bunch of soft people that are not mentally tough, that are just going to cop out and say, well, I'm not going to do it. And that opens a really big door, because you have to know the difference between Simone and you. And, well, you're just not an elite level athlete. So you're going to have to play the 8th inning, little Bobby, because, there's one of my friends, she has a daughter, and she was telling me about this. She has a daughter that decided she got stage fright. She was supposed to be in a dance recital. She got stage fright and she didn't want to go on. And it got to the point where she was crying. She said, I'm not going on. And she said, okay, great. You're okay. You don't want to go on? Fine. You don't have to go on. And then her daughter the next week was like, I want to go back to dance. You can't go back to dance. Right now, you can't go. You can't do some of it and not do all of it. It's all my dad, it's all or none. There's no half-ass. And, she told me, she said, I told my daughter that you're going to have to sit this season out of dance, because you made the decision not to support the rest of the girls in your team, in your class. So you can't crack under the pressure. You've got to build that. things are going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be nervous. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway, because everybody's got fear. Whether you're a CEO or you're an elite level athlete, or you're somebody just starting off at the basic, grassroots level of something, everybody is afraid because you're putting it out there. The lights are on. You have nothing to hide behind, especially those girls. They have nothing to hide behind. So when you do that, everybody's afraid. If you feel like, if you tell me somebody that is at a high level or that's not afraid, I will show you a liar. Because every time I got in the ring, whether it was state championships, regionals, going to the Olympic qualifier, international competitions, I got the same nervousness every time. It's just how you deal with it, how you mentally prepare for it, because it's going to come, and you can either use it to your advantage, or it'll brew up and it'll become against you. So that was what I was trying to do. And people were unfriending me and calling me all sorts of bad names and stuff. And I was like, you know what? If you guys aren't going to listen to me explain to you exactly what I'm saying, then you know what? You're just selfish and immature, and I just don't have time for you. So there's a really big lesson to be learned out of this. But you have to pick it apart, and you have to, I've been a coach for a long time. And like I said, I've coached 22 national champions, and I've got all these other medals on top of that, and all the silvers and the bronze from nationals as well. So I've seen it. I've taken psychology courses. I've read psychology courses. I've been in the books. I've been in the trenches. I know what quitting looks like. I know what mental health issues in women looks like, because I've coached so many women. Absolutely. I know what it looks like. So yes, I'm an expert at it. I can tell you, but at the end of the day, it's about the individual. Can you live with your decision? Is it healthy for you to stop right now? If you have nothing more to prove to yourself, not me, not you, nobody else. If you have nothing more to prove and you're like, you know what, I can't take it anymore, I'm done. That's it. Be proud of your decision, stand by your decision, and move on. So, those are the things that I saw. I mean, I saw some other stuff, as they were, panning to her and throughout the whole thing and stuff. And I have my other, opinions about what I saw. But that's the basic takeaways that I am, trying to explain to people, is there's a big lesson here to learn for all of us. But some people got the chatter so much in their head. They're so absolute in things that they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear it. If your opinion is different than theirs, they don't want to listen to you, because they feel like this bubble, and everybody that doesn't agree with them, then they got to shun them, and they're all sorts of names, and they're bad people. But we live in a world of opinions. We live in a world of different views. You grew up different than I did. I grew up different than you did. We can learn from each other. We may not agree all the time on everything that we do, but that's what makes the world go around. At the end of the day, we're still friends. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't think you and I disagree on just about anything. I mean, we agree on pretty much everything, but, just like anybody in general, he's like, oh, I see a different view of that. Okay, great. Let's talk about it. Why do you think that way? Why? Help me understand your thinking, rather than be like, oh, no, that's wrong. You're right all the time. Unbelievable. So, yeah, man, it was very interesting.
Yeah, that really is. Nathan, I didn't really, I'm kind of confused with what people would have a problem with what you said, because when you just took me through everything right there, I just trying to be curious, what were some of the issues with what you said? Because everything you just said about this seems pretty much spot on, because in my psychology courses and everything I've been through with mental toughness and sports psychology, you didn't say anything that I did not disagree with or catch any difference of opinion on. What was the issues? I mean, I don't understand what these people have a problem with.
The issues are, we have some soft, and I straight up, right, soft snowflakes, sure, that are mad, and they're yelling and screaming. They're on they're on Simone's side, and because there's these other people that are saying she's a quitter. She left everybody high and dry.
But that's what she did. Yeah, clearly she did. How could she deny that?
So there's going to be two different opposing arguments, and both of them are correct. You cannot. I can argue both sides, and I just did for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Argue for you both sides.
Right. You gave us a full perspective.
Very valid.
Absolutely.
So if you disagree with one of those sides, then you have to not necessarily agree with the other side, but you have to accept the other side.
Sure.
Because both of those are the same coin.
Absolutely.
So that's what, and I personally, when I first saw it and I was like, she quit. She should have sucked it up. I've been in situations where I'm not winning. Osaka was playing tennis. She wasn't winning. She didn't walk off the field.
Right. Exactly.
For the court, you know, but on the other side of that was her safety an issue. And if it was, then she made the right decision. If she just chose not to compete because she didn't want to look bad, then that's a problem. And so rather than just saying, okay, I understand that, people are like, oh, no, mental health. I had some people knocking me, telling me that I don't understand mental health. You know, everybody, and I said this, I said, show me a person that doesn't have a mental issue and I'll show you a liar. Every one of us has a mental issue. And then people say, well, yours is not as bad as mine. Oh, so now you want to make my mental issue smaller than yours to make you feel better. And you want, and at the same time, you're trying to talk about unity and acceptance of others. Do you realize how stupid you sound? So that was where it was coming from, is mental health issues. And then I had some friends that stuck up for me. And I have a friend that I went to elementary school with and in high school with, still friends with to this day. She had in elementary school and in high school, because we were just talking about this last week. We were both bullied in school. I was thrown in a locker at school. You know, and some of that stuff has kind of shaped the way I am today. Sure. And she was telling me, she's like, Nathan, I grew up with you. I had mental issues. Things happened to me as a person, but I would never quit.
Right. Exactly.
So she's a person that has some serious, like some real issues. Yeah. And she was like, I would never quit. I would never do that. But in that situation with Simone, do you see yourself on a high bar? And are you in that position? You know, what would you not quit on? Well, I'm not going to quit on my parenting. I'm not going to quit on my kids. I'm not going to say, well, I'm having a mental health day and I need to not be a parent today. So each one of the issues, I mean, they're all different. Yeah. You know, so you have to take the situations that you find yourself in and say, are you going to toughen up for that situation? Because, you know, like you said, you make your choices, you make your bed. Yeah. Now you have to lay in it, and you know, you can argue both sides. Is it mentally good enough, or are you just feeling like you're having a bad day and you just want to walk away to get the stress off? You just need a moment, and then you're going to regret it later on. Or, oh, it wasn't that bad. You know, so these are all the things, but these are all questions that an individual person has to answer and be true to themselves. And sometimes we won't ever know that because some people just lie, they shun it off. I mean, I've seen it in athletes. Yeah. Somebody else has said that. Well, you don't know. Well, I've coached enough women that I know enough about women's issues. I've coached enough self-defense participants that I know what sexual abuse looks like. I know when somebody's had enough. Yeah. You know, I know how far I can push somebody before I break them. You know, and as a coach, that was something that one of my friends brought up, is like, as a coach these days, and this is the thing, is if Simone was really going through a really big issue and her coaches weren't there, her coaches failed her. Because they could, you know, because we always had techniques in place. If something didn't happen right, because not everything's going to go right 100% of the time. Right. Exactly. So you need to have these techniques in place. As things start to fall apart, you start to implement these techniques, and then you get back on track. And if they didn't do that with her, then it's her fault. And Roddy, a friend of mine, brought up a really good point, that there's a lot of coaches out there that just because they're good at the sport, they're good as an athlete, they think that makes them a good coach. And you have to understand the psychology, because your psychology as an athlete might be different than mine. Sure. You know, what was his name? John McEnroe. John McEnroe, the tennis player. He was the only person in history that could actually play really, really angry. A lot of people, they play mad. They put on this persona, but they're really not mad inside. Michael Jordan's probably another person that would fuel his oomph if you pissed him off, right? But there's not a lot of players. Not a lot. It's a negative emotion. In sports psychology, anger is a negative emotion. Intensity is not. Aggression is not. But anger is. So when you start to get angry, you start to lose your cool. You start to lose your edge. You start to stop thinking, because you start narrowing your mind when you need to be open up, right? Exactly. You can be aggressive, but you can have pleasure and fun at the same time. So that was the big difference, you know, with that. And I have no idea where I was going with John McEnroe and aggression. I have no idea.
No, but that's good though. No, yeah, you know, Nathan, you really broke it down very good for us there, because I think you're right that maybe just sometimes in our society, especially this country, maybe some of these people are just under the impression that it's if their hero fails them, then obviously it must have not been their fault. It must have been some other reason, and it's
Right.
so easy to blame it on something else. And
Yep.
I think we definitely live in a era right now where personal accountability, personal responsibility is something that's kind of lost. We don't see that. It's always refreshing if, for example, if she had just come out and said, "Look, I cowered out," or "I just can't take the pressure." I think that would have probably been maybe more refreshing. Maybe for the fans, that would have been disappointing. Like, oh, no, you shouldn't say that. You can't make yourself look less than perfect. But
Right.
especially if one's setting themselves up to be, quote, the greatest of all time, I think it's real danger there. And that, like you said earlier, you're so right. It does set up expectations to others that it's okay to fail and it's okay to quit, and that's really dangerous balance there that they've got to be careful with. So I think you're right. Now I see what you're saying. When if you had some hate mail or some negative people unfriending, I mean that's just kind of, I don't know.
Childish.
Yeah, exactly. Very immature. I mean, very, very much so. It's like you said, you did give us both perspectives, and what's wrong with one person's opinion? I just don't understand that. Nothing you said was at all, in my opinion, negative or hateful or anything like that. It didn't warrant that.
But you're also a rational, logical thinker.
I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people probably don't. Just like we talked about a few minutes ago too, the whole vaccines and masks, and here we are in Atlanta now. We're kind of regressing and looking like we're reverting back to putting masks on. And hey, I hate you. You didn't get the vaccine. Shame on you. Blah blah blah. So I mean, I think we're seeing that. Just when we thought we had a handle on everything. Now it looks like we're going back to getting worse and going back to this negative whole energy, and the people are just so divisive and angry and yelling and shouting, and I don't know. I mean, what do you make of all that too? That's just kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
I think so. I don't, there's still, even with this Delta variant, I think it's a 99.8% survival rate.
Yeah.
So you're still looking at the same as the flu. And let's stop calling it a vaccine. Let's call it a shot. Like the flu shot, because it's not 100% a vaccine. If I get a smallpox vaccine, if I get a polio vaccine, I'm not getting polio.
Good point.
I'm not getting smallpox.
That's a very good distinction.
I'm taking this vaccine, but I can still get it. And oh no, you can get you take the vaccine so that you don't die.
Yeah.
But it's not a vaccine. So let's call it what it is, which is a shot, and it's not guaranteed. And it's only as guaranteed as the flu. And if you have, I'm not a doctor, tiny type, disclaimer right at the bottom. If your vitamin D levels and your magnesium levels are high enough, right? You have healthy vitamin D levels.
Yeah.
Chances of you getting COVID, chances of you having any symptoms of COVID, 0.
Right. Exactly.
Again, I still haven't had COVID. My wife hasn't had COVID. My parents haven't had COVID.
We haven't either.
And my brothers haven't had COVID. My nieces and nephews haven't had COVID. And now we're way over a year and a half into this. And they're like, oh, well, you must all be asymptomatic. Nope. Because there's no way that all of us are asymptomatic. My parents have underlying health issues. You're telling me that they're asymptomatic with underlying health issues when everybody else is hurting. Now, are there people dying? Yes. Are there people in the hospital? Are there people having a bad time? Absolutely. But to tell us that we need to be mandated to wear masks and mandated to have a vaccine, I think that's preposterous. Somebody said that in certain stores, people are walking in without masks, and somebody in the store manager or somebody that's customer service in the store will ask you, have you been vaccinated? Well, I'm sorry, but are you a virgin? So you don't want to tell me that, or you don't want to tell me your sexual preference, or you don't want me to tell you don't want me to tell me your deep, darkest secrets. How about you stay out of my vaccination? You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, if you want to go one for one, you're going to have to, you're going to have to come with a bigger hand than that.
Yeah.
So now you're talking about, vaccine passports and stuff. And it's shown, they said the masks don't work. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
People are wearing masks. First of all, if you're wearing a mask, a surgical mask, an N95 mask, it's only good for 8 hours, or it's only good for 4 uses.
For when you, right. Exactly. But these people,
I see people hanging them from their mirror.
Exactly.
They've been using them for the last 6 months.
Right.
They're not
they're
ineffective. And here's the thing is,
it's a good point.
I can just wear a gaiter. This is acceptable. So if this is not going to protect you, this is fake, people. There's nothing here. I can still blow through it. If I was actually positive COVID. You would still get it from me if I had this or a gaiter over my face, and that's an acceptable form of mouth coverage. And then you've got this whole other group of people that eyeball you and mean mug you wearing a mask like this.
Mm-hmm. Under the nose. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. This is it baffles me. It's a scare tactic. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. And I do believe that somebody said, I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm not going to have a mask mandate. I'm going to get rid of the virus. And now here we go again. And we're right back where we were before. Mm-hmm. And we can't get anybody. There's jobs everywhere. We can't get anybody to work. Everybody's staying at home getting unemployment.
It's true.
And don't get me started on that. So it's
true.
like hand out. And now we've got soft USA players. We're getting beat by China and in Russia in sports in the Olympics that we should be dominating. I mean, it's like, so China and Russia are toughening up their athletes, and we're just, W stands for win. It doesn't stand for woke and weakness.
We're turning into a bunch of wussies is what it is. That's what the W stands for.
Yeah. So it's like, come on, guys, you don't have to be super soldiers or something, but let's get back to the way it was back in the 1940s with the World War II era, where we were doing our own thing. Mm-hmm. We're spoiled brats is what we are. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a podcast, and there was a guy on there that said that a brand new immigrant, somebody that comes from another country to the United States, is more likely, that's 400% more likely to become a millionaire than somebody that's lived here and born here. Why is that? Because people from the other countries want the opportunities that we have grown accustomed to, mm-hmm. and become lazy.
It's true.
And they take that opportunity and they run with it, and they better their families. And then they bring their entire family over because they believe that this is the best country in the world for you to be able to do and have anything that you want while helping other people.
That's true.
But we just hang out and just, we don't have this. Oh, my internet connection is too slow. Oh, my Facebook account has been cut down. Oh, I can't get on Netflix. Oh, it's like, dude, at the end, so go ahead and take the blue pill. Hook yourself up to the Matrix. Call it a day. Wear your mask inside your house by yourself.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you're right, Nathan. I mean, there's so much there that we can go on with, and this half hour just flew by so fast with you. But it was such a pleasure. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Before we let you go, though, I got to ask you, how's the best way people can contact you directly, and how's the best way they could find you, please? Let's go ahead and plug your information.
Absolutely. Well, everything that we talked about is all about empowerment and all about, and I help people and empower people build their self-confidence through health and wellness. So one of the big things that we have right now is our 21-day body transformation challenge. You can go to 21daybodytransformationchallenge.com and check that program out. You can also check us out on Facebook and go to Trinity Fitness, and you can join our private Facebook group where we share lots of different recipes, nutrition tips, fitness. I work out with you guys live on Facebook Live at 9:00 every Friday morning. Lots of different places. And then you can also email me if you have any comments, questions, you want to throw something out, info@trinitybody.com. And, I'm always there. But we're here to just break through the myths of fitness and nutrition, break through the myths of empowerment so that you guys can live a peak performance life.
Perfect. Good stuff, Nathan. We'll have that on the screen here as we fade to black. And again, thank you so much. This was such an interesting episode, as always, as they are with you. And let's please do this next month on your time, on your schedule. And again, appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. And please tell Stephanie and Charlie we said hello, and good luck with the new puppy. And we will see you next time, Nathan.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.